I'm George Knapp, in tonight for the vacationing Ian Punnett. Time now to get to our main guest for the evening. His name is Brent Miller. He's a techno guy. He's got more than 30 U.S. patents for advancements in human interface recognition software, artificial intelligence applications, data transmission protocols, and a lot of other stuff I probably can't understand. He has a lifelong dedication, he says, to something he founded called the Horizon Project. Put together a research team with scientists and other researchers looking at some of the great mysteries and challenges facing our world. And like a lot of other people, Brent has sort of had some bad vibes about what might be coming. Brent, you there?
Yes, I am. It's a pleasure to be on the show with you, George.
Great to have you here. Let's just start with this. I know you've been on the program before, and some of the listeners may be familiar with you, but let's just get a general thumbnail sketch. Horizon Project, what is it? How does it work? And most importantly, why should we believe you about your predictions of what's coming in the future?
Well, the Horizon Project, you summarized it very, very concisely. We're a team of scientists and researchers with contributors in pretty much every major scientific field around the world. Why should you believe the information we're collecting? Most of the information we're collecting is being made publicly available, and it is publicly accessible by most people. These are not opinions of one person, a dozen, or even 100, but the top leading scientists in many of these fields.
So you gather information and analyze it as opposed to, going out and digging stuff up on your own.
Correct. The scientists actually go out and dig up stuff, and we do more than just sit back and collect the information and analyze it. We actually have scientists fly to us. We go to them. We just came back from the Middle East with an entire film and production crew looking at some ancient documentation. About 4,000 documents where some of the oldest predictions in the world are for what's about to happen exist. So we do not sit back and, come up with theories. In fact, that was the reason why the Horizon Project was built in the first place. It was literally built and designed to solve some of the world's most puzzling anomalies or questions. But
have you solved any?
Well, we believe we have solved one, and it's an absolute it's a scary one.
Which one?
Well, based on the years of research we have undergone to conclude that from the physical evidence, historical documentation, and the scientific evidence, what we now know, cutting-edge technology, cutting-edge science, that Earth's history and our inevitable future is not what we've been commonly taught. Let me give you an example. Most of us have been taught that Earth changes are extremely slow and occur over millions of years. The best example I can think of mass population being informed of this is the forming of the 7 continents. We're taught that they broke apart from a single large continent to the respective positions today. Right, and it took millions of years. However, the actual physical evidence shows that this is not the case at all, that the continents actually broke apart and moved to their respective positions in just a few short years, no more than a maximum of a couple hundred years, not the millions of years that scientists say.
Okay, what is the evidence for that?
Well, the periods between these global upheavals, massive instantaneous global upheavals, are very, very slow and occur over thousands and millions of years. But between these upheavals, you have the slow geology, and that is where the original theories came from, because that's what the scientists see, because they're not around when these massive upheavals happen. And new scientific evidence, when we actually study the ocean floors, in this particular example, when we actually go down and study the ocean floors, we see the ocean floors do not replicate a millions of years theory, but an instantaneous theory. For example, if the Atlantic Ridge is separating Europe from the United States, which it is, the 2 continents, a few centimeters per year, then computing the distance back, saying that they were one continent one time, you could easily surmise how many millions of years ago these 2 continents matched up like a puzzle. That's the theory. That's where they came up with the original estimate. However, if Europe and America are separating, then the Pacific Ocean is shrinking, conversely, and it is older, whereas the newer Atlantic Ridge would be newer mass, newer plant, newer animal life, newer decayed animals on the ocean floor there, and newer sediments. So when you look at the sediment substrate on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean and you compare it to the, quote, theoretically older settlements by millions of years of the substrates on the Pacific Ocean, you should see a vast difference in age. We don't. In fact, they're almost identical.
I'd be real interested in seeing that evidence, Brent, because I'm sure that there are a lot of geologists out there who are screaming into their radios right now saying that you've got to be wrong. Let me ask you this, just to be clear on this. Are you saying that the process that separated the continents itself was quicker, or we are incorrect about how long ago it happened, or both?
It was an instantaneous event for the most part. It wasn't a slow migration of continents away from each other. A sudden, catastrophic global effect altered the Earth's north and south poles, essentially a geographic pole shift. This created a new centrifugal force geometry on the planet, which caused basically the continent to break up and to reorient themselves in a matter of just a couple hundred years to their current positions. And then once they got close to their current positions, which would only take a couple hundred years, then the slow process started moving over the last few tens of thousands of years of the continents repositioning precisely in these where they're at today.
I guess the question is what caused the pole shift, but that's going to sort of be the topic of tonight because you're saying another pole shift is coming, right?
The evidence suggests that the sudden physical pole shifts having dramatic cataclysmic results pretty much decimate most of the life on the Earth, and each time this occurs, they occur very quickly, and quickly meaning within a few days. And the evidence, as you just mentioned, does indicate that we are on the doorsteps of the next shift. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen 50 years from now. But all the evidence that we've been able to collect indicates the next one is about to happen.
We'll get into that in a second. I wanted to ask you in general about the stuff we talked about at the beginning of the program, how gloom and doom predictions, prophecies, the Mayan calendar, Nostradamus, all this stuff, we keep hearing so much of it right now. And I wonder if how you look at all of these things, whether it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy to hear this stuff over and over again, or all these psychics, all these other folks were onto something.
Well, it's kind of interesting. I kind of chuckle when you ask that because I didn't hear the first hour of your program.
Right.
And we're going to get into quite a bit of that in this program here. But one thing, these ancient prophecies and modern prophecies they come from different cultures, different countries, different languages, different eras of mankind, even on different planets. And they all point to the same thing, and they're all saying approximately the same thing, pointing to this particular moment in time, this part of human history. They're all saying the same thing. They're not saying 100 different things. They're all saying the same thing. And they don't know each other, and they're in different countries, different languages, scattered over the last 3,000 years. When you see that, you have to sit up and take notice, because why would they all be saying the same thing? And
Brent
what
Miller
they're saying is starting to come true.
Brent, I'm going to have to take a short break. We'll be right back with the Horizon Project's Brent Miller on Coast to Coast AM. Stay with us. Welcome back to Coast to Coast. My name is George Knapp, in for Ian Punnett tonight. I'm talking with Brent Miller of the Horizon Project, which is looking at combining scientific research and prophecy, things of that sort, to look into the human future and the future of this planet. Brent, let me ask you this. How much of what your predictions are based on it comes from science, and how much of it is based on or inspired by what we would call prophecy?
Actually, 100% of what we have been working on for the last 5 to 6 years is based on science. In fact, we have completely exhausted to the point where we are so confident that this event is going to happen. We have actually turned our attention to prophecy. And what we find out, not actually that surprising to us, is that prophecy is matching the science that we have uncovered. So what we have actually uncovered is science, and that was our entire forte. But we have delved and will continue to delve into the prophecy because the prophecy seems to not only augment the science, but it is actually talking about events that are occurring today that science could never know.
Well, you mentioned about and I mentioned it as well, that about the Mayan prophecies, for example, the calendar ending in 2000.